before we get into the transactions that the Steelers have made, quick bit of information. So, a little bit of a change coming to the channel. I've decided that I'm going to stop doing the press conference reactions unless there's something huge. Unless there's huge news in it. In which case, I will show that little bit. If it's a couple of minutes or, if it's 30 seconds, however long that clip is. And then I'll talk about it then. I figured that's probably the best way to do it. It's a lot between work, coming home, cooking, cleaning up after. We have the dog. It's becoming a lot. It's kind of why on my main channel I've switched to videos once a week. Because this is just, it's a lot as far as keeping up. And I don't always have time to do it. So we are going to go off that. So in my own free time, I'll be listening to the press conferences. But let's get into these moves. So they signed linebacker Kanai Mauga. I hope I'm not butchering that too bad, to the practice squad. They then elevated Dylan Cook and MVS to the active-inactive roster from the practice squad. They then signed Dylan Cook to the active roster off the practice squad. They signed offensive tackle David Sharp to the practice squad, placed offensive tackle Calvin Anderson to the IR list, and they terminated running back Trey Sermon from the practice squad. Okay, so I think by putting Calvin Anderson on IR, I think his season's over. And I even saw a clip of him. Apparently, Mike Tomlin has a no crutches rule on the sideline, and Anderson's in crutches. So he was not able to go to the game, so he watched the game at home. I saw a video, he was like in helmet, jersey, like just watching the game. So, and then, okay, unfortunate for Trey Sermon. I mean, you're talking about a guy who got elevated 3 times, signed to the active roster, released, brought back to the practice squad, and now he's off the practice squad. Makes sense that you're bringing up Dylan Cook. So now you're going to bring in another tackle to fill his role. And he actually played very well versus Miami. And it's not like Miami doesn't have pass rushers. Like Chop Robinson and Bradley Chubb are not like bums by any means. And he held his own, and go on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and find Brian Baldinger break down Dylan Cook's tape. And it was like Dylan Cook, he had 0 penalties against him, right? 0 holds, no hands to the face, nothing. And the only time he ended up on the ground was on a low block because they were hitting Warren on a screen towards the end of the game. Like, literally, that's the only time he ended up on the ground. They signed Doug Nestor to the practice squad, so he took Sermon's spot. Then they signed MVS to the active roster, elevated Jack Driscoll and DeMarvin Leal from the practice squad. They then waived wide receiver Keyshawn Williams from the active roster. So wide receiver gone, wide receiver in. And So, let's see. DeMarvin getting brought up for the game was probably when they knew Derek Harmon wasn't going to play. And he was probably a game time decision. And if they felt like they needed him more for Detroit than versus Miami, then I can see why they're like, let's just give him 6 more days. Give him until Detroit. What else? Jack Driscoll. Let me think. Oh, that's right, because Pete didn't play. So that's probably for him, just to get another body in there. MVS caught a touchdown. So, that was pretty good to bring him up. He is pretty much him and Thielen, and now Roman Wilson has been inactive the past 2 weeks. Not great for him, I will say. What does that kind of say about him as far as where he stands on the team? Because you got DK, right? Calvin, Adam, MVS, Scotty was active. Scotty was active because he can be a backup punt returner, I think Tomlin said. And Skoranek was active because he's special teams. And the play he made on special teams on that punt to keep it in bounds was unbelievable. That was a great play by him. So those are all the moves the Steelers made. So this, because they don't make moves as often, I think I'll be able to more or less stay pretty current on it. And any news as far as like TJ, I'll pass along. I'll have a video for, like, anything on like when he could return. The only thing we know so far, I'll just add this to the end of this. The only thing we know so far for TJ is that he was getting a dry needling treatment at the team facility. And if anyone doesn't know what that is, it looks very similar to like acupuncture, right? Needles that you get stuck in you, many small needles that you get stuck in you, and apparently it's supposed to help with like healing, right? So there was an issue with that, and I guess his lung collapsed. And what that means, because I didn't even really know what it means until an actual medical person explained it. Basically, from my understanding, there's like a lining on the outside of your lungs. Like you have your lung and you have almost like a membrane kind of deal. And if air ever gets in there, it basically pushes your lung down or up, depending on where the air is, I guess. But basically, it fills in space between the lung and that membrane, and it's not supposed to. That's not supposed to have space. So when it does that, it compresses the lung almost, not collapses it. It's weird how it's called a collapsed lung, whereas it almost seems more like it compresses it. But I'm not a doctor, not a nurse, didn't go to medical school. So essentially, TJ had to have surgery in order to have that air removed. And there's different severities on how collapsed the lung is based on how much air gets in there. And I heard from whatever video that I was listening to that his lung collapsed by 5%. I don't know if that's a lot. I don't know if that's a little. I don't know if that's average. I couldn't tell you. But 5%. Okay? Which doesn't seem like a lot. It's like, oh, 5%, a 20th. But when you're talking about your lungs, that could be a lot. I don't know. You know, is 30-40% fatal? Or I know you would still have one other lung. It's like how you have 2 kidneys. But, like, how much does that affect it? You know? So he had the surgery, and he was released, I believe, the next day. Didn't look like he was at the game. Now, definitely if it was an away game, like if this was Detroit, like definitely for sure, TJ, do not fly. But I didn't know if he was going to be on the sideline or not, and it didn't appear so. So, or at least not that I saw. So had the surgery, released from the hospital, and from what I've heard, it doesn't seem to be like it's season ending. But what does that mean for Detroit, Cleveland, or Baltimore week 18? What does that mean for potential playoffs? I have no idea. So as more information comes out, I will be making videos. So essentially, I want to report more on actual news than press conferences. Big events, news, things like that. That I want to focus on more, and maybe in the off season I might focus a little bit on maybe some mock drafts. I haven't decided yet. That, or maybe I'll just take the off season off, and we'll see each other in free agency, more or less. But that is it. So that'd be what, 2 months? Based on whenever the Steelers get eliminated, because let's say they get eliminated early playoffs, then I get a month and a half. If they don't make the playoffs, I get about 2 months. If they make the Super Bowl, I get a month. But we'll figure it out. So if you guys did enjoy this, please do leave a like. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.